What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. On today's episode, we are going to be working on the 1986 Arctic Cat Cougar again. So this is going to be part 2 of this build slash restoration. So as you can see, I got the engine up on the bench now, and you guys see in the last part I do have the flywheel off, but that's probably going to be going back on. But first, we're just going to ohm out this stator. So as you can see, the wires are cut here, so it actually will make it really easy for us to ohm them out, but it won't be too easy to reconnect them, but it should be fine. A little bit of solder and heat shrink and they'll be right back together. But first we're going to ohm the stator out and everything and make sure everything's good on it before we all put it back together. And but before we do that, I want to pull these the car boots off here, so that way we can take this cover off and take a look, because these are the only bolts right here holding it on. There was one there, but that took that one out. So we're gonna see that, check that out, and see it's really oily down here. So gonna check that out and see what's going on there. If anything's wrong, or before we put this motor back in, then it's just harder to work on then. So what I'm seeing here is a notice. As you guys know, I just rebuilt my 1986 Arctic Cat Tigre engine, which is a 530. So that's a bigger engine than that, and that one is liquid cooled. This one's air cooled. So when I pulled this one out, I immediately noticed these oil lines are like significantly bigger than that one, and I was kind of questioning it. And I know I put the same size I was on there back on my Tigre, so I knew those were the right size, but kind of questioning it, and then I pulled this off and I could see that I believe these are not the actual original lines. And let's pull this one, let's see, because this one was loose here, so this was probably leaking here. You can see there's a bunch of oil coming off, so that one was loose. But when we pull these off, yep, just as I suspected, you can see here someone put different lines on here, and these are much bigger than what's supposed to be on here. So you can see there's the hose here. This must have got brittle and fell off and stuff. So you can see our hose here. This stuff, they just cut it off so they could put this bigger stuff on and just slide it right over like that, and then they try to clamp it down, which did not give them a good seal. So I'm gonna pull this one off too and see what it looks like. See if it's the same thing, which it should be. Yep, same thing. So these are not the original lines. I've already had these heads off. They look decent, but I'm gonna take a look in here and see what these cylinders look like. Make sure they're not really scored like the Tigres was, but that's only because one of these lines blew on it. So let's get to taking it apart here. So let's get to looking in here. So these pistons actually do look really good. There's a little bit of wear, but it's normal wear. So these pistons are good. So I don't think I want to run these lines anymore, though. I want to get the proper ones, because this could be part of our problem. Not totally, again, I'm not an expert on these pumps, but this could be an issue. Those lines are on here for a reason, not these lines. So get new ones, and then we don't have to worry about these cracking. It does look like it might be cracked a little bit there at the end, so Gonna get new oil injection line. Alright guys, so didn't understand what I was talking about there. This is what I'm talking about. You can see right there. This line is the factory line that went on there. It would have been like this greenish color. So that's the factory one. And then you can see here, this could not have been good for the engine. You can see there, for focus, it's kind of folded over there. So this, it would have been restricting the oil flow there. So that couldn't have been good. That would have been messing up the cylinder if you ran it long term like that. This one was actually cut off, and they just put these bigger ones on, which looked like they were probably 3/16, and they just slipped them over, and then they cranked down on these clamps here, which apparently were not even tight because this one, I didn't even have to loosen this one. I could just pull it right off. So they didn't. Whoever run this sled before did a hack job on everything. I can obviously tell. I mean, it was kind of well taken care of. Like, you can see the seat is in great condition and stuff, but I don't know. You can see the wiring. You know, part one, that was all bushered up and everything, like speaker wire and like connectors everywhere, connecting 3-inch pieces of wires and everything. This sled was all butchered up. I just moved the motor. What the? Oh, more damage here, more damage. Well, as you guys can see, there's supposed to be a bolt right here, I believe. So this looks like it's broken off. Classic. So this motor, every time we turn around, just keeps getting worse. So we're gonna pull the motor mount off so we can get this line off. Now that I look at it, oh wait, this one's loose as well. What the heck? Yeah, that one's loose as well, guys. So absolute garbage. But anyway, we're gonna pull the motor mount off so we can get to better access to putting our new line on there. So I guess I'm gonna put that one on with the new piece, and guess we'll have to go get more or something. So pull this motor mount off real quick and get to it. Alright guys, come to find out, this is actually a bolt. This is Allen's key, so that's again another wrong thing, and I figured out why that one's in there. I don't know why they put that in, but for some reason, look at this, the motor mount is broken. Guess we didn't catch that before. All the dirt must have been in there, but the motor mount is actually broken there. But this is aluminum, so that's unfortunate. But my 3 should definitely hold it. And then we can put another one in. We'll have to go get a new one, but we can put another one in, and we'll put a bigger washer on it, so that way it'll grip this thing. And then you know, it'll at least hold it in place coming this way. So it should still, it'll still work fine. It just won't be as secure, but as you can see, the motor mount is broken off there. So I don't know who the heck worked on this, but let me tell you, it gets worse every time. So come to find out, there was a bolt in there, but it wasn't doing anything because the motor mount was broken off. And when I was able to pull those bolts off, I was able to just pull the motor mount up, and came right off. So not good. When the oil is coming out of this, it seems extremely watery. Like, you can definitely still feel it's oil, but it's pouring out like water. Like it seems diluted or something. Guys, just found another issue. As you can see, the motor is up on the edge, and but as you can see, I had it up on the side there, and all of a sudden, this stuff, I see this, and I'm like, what the heck is this? It's like an orange. It looks like it's rust. So that is not good. But you can see here, our crankcase is flooded. Pretty sure this whole crankcase down here is filled with fuel. So we're gonna see what I can do. Hey guys, quick little update here. So as you guys know, I found out the crankcase was full of fuel and stuff. So rather than pulling the crankcase, I'm just gonna pull these heads off, and I guess I'll pull the jugs, and then I'll pull the pistons, and then I'll just let it drain out, and that should be good enough. So to let all our rusted fuel and stuff out of there. So let's get to pulling these heads off, guys. So I got the motor turned upside down, just so we can let the any oil or whatever the heck is in there, gas stuff, just completely drain out, and we're gonna let this sit overnight. We got it jacked up on some 2x6s here, so should be, should let all our water out and stuff. So gonna probably try to even it out a little bit on this side. I might put this one underneath of this one, so that way it's even more, so all our fluid doesn't come down to here and clog up here in the end here. So guess we're gonna catch you back probably tomorrow when I come back out here to work on it. I think I know when this happened, when the crankcase got all full of fuel, because we were pulling on it and it wouldn't start at all. So I'm betting that possibly one of these floats in the carburetors is actually stuck open, or has a hole in it or something, causing one of them just to pour fuel into the engine, which obviously is not good, because it's pouring so much fuel in, but it doesn't have the air, so it's not revving up or anything, but it's just pouring a lot of fuel in. So gonna let it sit here and drain. So we got it pretty even out, I think. So then once that goes on, we'll go through our cylinder jugs back on. The gaskets are actually pretty good. I have one of them is I have a different one for the other for the other jug. So it's gonna let it drain here, and guess tomorrow we'll put the thing back together and maybe get into the sled. So I had this thing draining overnight. Actually not that much came out. It probably all came out when it was sitting up like that. But anyway, I got the line here for the oil injection. So this is 1/8 inch. There's 5 foot of it. Got this at Tractor Supply in these, like the lawnmower section. So that'll work fine. You see it fits snug on there. We got now we got plenty to redo this line here. And I also got some Moto Seal gasket maker. I've never used this stuff. I always use the black stuff, but this stuff says fuel resistant and oil resistant, stuff like that. So we will try this one out here and see if it works. Because according to the Arctic manual, you're supposed to put right where your jugs mount back up, you're supposed to put some silicone there so they seal better, and everything. You're supposed to put a light layer of silicone on like every single gasket pretty much you put on. So let's get to reassembling this motor again. So I got it all back. I got the cylinder jugs on, about to put the heads on, and as you guys can see, I got the pistons back in. Just put a little bit of assembly lube on there to make them slide in nice, and so when we start pulling it off, also it'll have a little bit of lubrication there as well. So got the head gaskets back on. As you can see, these head gaskets are, they're flawless. But one thing I noticed when putting these head gaskets on is when you try to put them on, if you try to put them on like anyway, because you can see there are 6 bolts here. If you try to put them on like anyway, it doesn't go, because you have to have these squares. You can see this part of the head gasket is square, these are round, so you gotta have these squares facing in towards each other, so your head gasket will properly align, because you won't be able to get it on the other way. So you'll figure that out anyway if you ever did this. So anyway, let's get these heads back on and get this motor back together. As you can see, I got all the heads on. Spark plugs obviously aren't in, and all the bolts, they're just kind of like hand tight on there. They're not actually torqued, because we're going to torque these, but it'd be much easier to do it while the motor's in the sled. So we'll do it then. And you can see I got the things on for the oil injection there. But first, before I run these lines and everything, just want to clean up this block a bit, because it just doesn't look good. So I don't want to spend like a lot of time with the wire wheel and stuff, but I want to spend enough time to make it look half decent. Again, the sled's not going to be a showpiece. but you know, I just want to make it look decent. So hey, so we just torqued the heads because I realized that I had these insulators here. That's what I guess what these are called. I had them this way, but apparently the cooling shield actually has to go on first, or else these like it doesn't line up properly, and holes don't line up, and then you can't really get the lines on. So these have to go on first or after the shield goes on, something like that, and then you'll be able to put your line on easier. And then you know, you can put your carburetor flanges on top of those, and then you can put your carburetors there. So that's the way that's supposed to be. And I can't remember if that must have been the way I took it off, because I can't remember if it was though. I thought it was the other way. The shield was never really bolted on right, so I don't really know. Alright guys, so this is like a week, yeah, probably like a week after the last segment of this video was recorded, and that's because I had to actually wait. I was waiting on some nuts for the crankshaft here. Now these are M14s by 1.5s, and Lowe's did not have, all they went up to is M12, and Tractor Supply only had, at least my local Tractor Supply, only had, their threads weren't fine enough, so it wouldn't go on the crankshaft. I believe they had M14 175s and 2.0s, so they wouldn't work. So instead of having to buy a die and stuff, I just bought the correct nuts on Amazon, and these are, say in the description, they say they're actually rated for high-speed rotating assemblies, and that's exactly what this is right here. So these nuts should definitely hold it on there, and as you can see, we got our nut on there, and we also put all new bolts holding the pulley on for the fan there, and the thing for the pull start. I also got all new bolts. You can see I just have them sitting in here. These are all metric. That's what you're going to need. I also got all new bolts for everything to hold the CDI on, hold all the covers on, the pull start. I'm just going to leave these screws here for the fan because they're fine. You know, this sled, again, is never going to be a showpiece, at least for now. I mean, maybe later, but probably not. But anyway, so that's what's going on with this. I've even still got some more bolts, and if you're wondering what size they are, because you're wanting to do the same thing, here we go. I got these at Tractor Supply. These are just zinc, so you could get stainless if you really wanted, but you'd have to spend a lot. So here we go, M6 by 1 by 16. That's what I'm using right here to hold all this stuff on. And you might want to get some lock washers with them to help them stay on, or just put Loctite on, or both. But anyway, let's get to putting this cover back on and putting the belt on. That's going to be a pain, but let's get to putting this thing back together. Also, you can see here, the previous guy cut all these wires, so I think before I put it in the sled, I'm going to pull this carburetor off here, just the flange, and I'm going to solder and heat shrink all these wires back together to the original plug, so we can get that all back together. As you can see here, these are the wrong nuts as well, so I'm going to get the proper ones for those. I bought some of those as well, so I'm going to put some of the new nuts on here and get these wires soldered up. So let's get to it. Alright guys, so as you can see, I've hooked all the wires up. They're a little bit wet because I just sprayed this down to clean up all this junk on here. As you can see, I cleaned all this junk, tried to just give it a wipe down here, some degreaser and stuff of, you know, all the buildup there of all the, you know, dust and dirt. But anyway, as you can see, I have a mixture. This is their orange heat shrink. Is, you know, obviously soldered and heat shrinked, and then I got, on the bigger wires, I got butt connectors there. Now these are heat shrink butt connectors. Now, you know, I usually do not like to use butt connectors that much, but these heat shrink butt connectors, I gotta say, these things are super strong and make a super nice connection actually. You know, normally solder and heat shrink is the best to go. Solder and heat shrink, I gotta give it, it does look a little bit better, but this stuff I just wanted to, it's a little bit of a pain to get in here this tight with these small wires and not melt any other wires, soldering these up. So I just took a quick approach and put some butt connectors on and heat shrink them down, and gives you a nice waterproof connection there. And you try to pull those things apart and you cannot pull them apart. So I'm not too worried about that connection there. I actually really like these these heat shrink butt connectors. So if you ever in need of like a quick connect thing, you just need a butt connector for, but you don't really like using them because moisture and stuff can get in and they're not the strongest. Check out these solder and heat shrink ones. They're actually pretty cheap. I picked these up on Amazon, so they're pretty cheap and they actually work really good. But anyways, this engine is coming together. You can see we got all these guards on here, and I put Loctite on these screws that hold the pull start on. Blue Loctite right here. You don't want to use too much. Number one, that stuff is crazy expensive, and number two, you don't need to. It holds it on there pretty good. And these pull start screws will vibrate out if you don't put lock washer or something on there. But anyway, this build is actually of the motor. Going through the motor is coming to an end. I'm going to put the motor mount on, the vacuum line, and that's pretty much it. It's going to be pretty much done, and then we're going to be ready to put it back in the sled.